Welcome to a wash with colour on one of the prettiest resorts in northwest Ireland, Ross's Point. My guest today and painting partner is Andy Kane, better known to you all as Changing Rooms Handy Andy. You know, the artist Jack B. Yeats once said, "I never paint a picture without thinking of Sligo." And here at the mouth of Sligo Bay, you can see exactly what he meant. This place is steeped in history. Out there, the seabed is littered with shipwrecks from the Spanish Armada of 1588. In the 18th century, Irish soldiers known as the Wild Geese set sail from here to the wars of Europe.
Spanner.
Oh, Andy.
My darling Smith.
My guest is no stranger to painting frames, though he normally works in the medium of MDF.
2 kids, glass shelf ornaments.
Today, he's stuck with the brush and a box of watercolours. Changing Rooms, Andy Kane. Well, tell me, Andy, have you ever been in Ireland before?
I've been here a few times, but every time I've come here, it's always been work, never pleasure. And as you know, with work, it's hotel, work, back to the hotel, work, back, and that's it. So you never actually see for what it really is.
Yeah, it's beautiful here on the west coast, you know, and especially if the weather's good.
Ah, the weather. The lovely weather.
There's a point.
Don't be fooled by Anna or Oliver's calm exterior, because it's 7 o'clock on day 2 and we're usually well finished by now.
I think things have really taken off for you. You know, a few years ago you were working on a building site, now you're thrown in front of 12 million people every week. How did it all start?
Just a pure stroke of luck. I was working for one of the designers, Linda Barker, and she got a phone call from the then producer of the show saying we wanted you to do the pilot. Got the other designer, and all they needed was a guy who could build. And I was upstairs working away, went for an interview and a screen test, and as they say, the rest is history. But it's been absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, but it's been really successful too. What is it now, 4 years?
This is its 5th year now, and we're actually doing a 100th show this year. It's absolutely amazing, it really is. Great fun, great fun.
But what about the arts? Have you any background there at all?
I'm afraid not. I'm going to be a tough character to work with. It's not something I've really thought about, to be honest with you. And at school I wasn't exactly the best. So you've certainly got your work cut out with me, that's all I'm going to say.
Oh, it's not that difficult, you know. If you just follow the techniques, like painting is simple, you know, you'll find that out, you know, that you can do it. Well, you have a book out as well then?
Yeah, I've got 2 books actually.
Right.
The first one was out about 3 years ago. The second one came out last year. So they're doing quite well. You've got a book out yourself, haven't you?
Yeah, but we're here to talk about yours.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, no, they're doing really well. I'm really pleased. It's just kind of another string to your bow.
Yeah.
You do the TV and then someone says, do you want to do a book? And it's like, yeah, brilliant, why not? So we do the book as well. And I'm just really enjoying the whole thing. It's absolutely fantastic.
I had an hammer. I'll hammer in the morning. I'll hammer in the evening.
And what about if I had a hammer?
What about if I had a hammer?
Big record, eh?
Let's leave it at the bottom of the pile where it belongs. I mean, it's something I did.
Yeah.
Nothing ventured, nothing gained kind of thing, you know. And
Oh well, at least you had a go, you know.
it's fun, it's another string to your bow kind of thing.
Yeah. And what's in the future for Andy?
Well, I'd like a few more years of this. What I've just done, I'd like that again. Have fun, enjoy it, take every day as it comes really, and just have fun with it all.
Well, whatever about the future, today Andy and myself are surrounded by the past. Jack B. Yeats and his brother William called this place Memory Harbour. This 12-foot, 7.5-ton petty officer is the Metal Man. He was built here on Perch Rock in the year 1822 to guide ships through the deep waters of Sligo Channel. Back then, shallow water wasn't the only hazard in these parts. Early in the 19th century, these coasts were virtually ruled by fearless and well-organised smuggling gangs. The most famous local smuggler, Black Jack, even built himself a mansion on the proceeds. Today it's little more than an old ruin, but like most wrecks hereabouts, it's still fascinating to look at. I wonder if Andy brought his hammer. Sligo Abbey is the area's only remaining medieval building. It was founded in 1253 by Maurice Fitzgerald, the Baron of Offaly, who also founded Sligo town. Some of the original 13th century features still remain, like the lancet windows in the choir. In the 15th century, the Dominican order built a friary here. 3 centuries later, they were still in it, having survived the Tyrone War, the Ulster Rising, and 3 attempts to burn the place to the ground. Hardy types, these Sligo men. Tom O'Rourke is a Sligo-based painter who lives and works in the shadow of Drumcliff Church, the final resting place of the poet William Butler Yeats. Tell me, Tom, were you always interested in painting?
Yeah, well, I started off, did the usual drawing that most kids do, and I went to England and went to art college when I was actually 27. I was teaching in London and doing my own work, and for a long, long time, and then I came back to Ireland about 5 years ago. And I was able to begin to be a full-time professional painter.
Well, whenever I look at your work, I see many different themes to it, but can you just tell me what the inspiration is that drives you on?
Landscape, and in the landscape, I suppose the light and the weather, the climate, that's the most inspiring part of it. And particularly Irish traditional music, although that could be opened up to all sorts of music, in fact. But that's always been in my family and in me, and it's very much related to the landscape, I suppose, in a way. And so, in a sense, like, the 2 areas I work in are related because of that, even though the images might look quite disparate from each other in many ways.
Well, do you play music yourself, Tom?
No, my father played the fiddle. I never learned, but it's always been a strong part of my interests, yeah.
Whenever you're working on your musical sessions, the paintings of the musical sessions, is it the music or the musician you're trying to capture there?
Well, I'm certainly inspired first and foremost by the music, and I'm looking and I'm watching the musicians, and sometimes I'll see just some very interesting looking characters, and I may want to explore their characteristics and the way they look and the way they're moving as they play, and that might be the emphasis. But that can change, the music can go over, and I can try then to express the rhythm, the movement, the dynamics of the music in the drawing, while still maybe keeping in touch with the images of the actual people who are playing. The paintings are with acrylic paint, and there's a much greater build-up there. One of the advantages of acrylic is that it dries fast and you can keep building quickly on it. One of the disadvantages is that if you want to do wet paint and get blended effects, that can be an obstacle rather than an advantage.
Well, whenever you're working on a piece like that, do you start with a sketch and work it up, or do you go straight into the canvas?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think of my drawings as independent pieces of work almost in some ways from the paintings. So paintings, by their definition, are things you build up. Drawings are more spontaneous and don't involve as much, building. If I'm painting, I would use photographs and I'll use sketches I've made, and I'll paint directly onto the canvas. Probably start with very thin paint and build up to a thicker, more impasto finish.
And are you applying the paint with a palette knife or a brush?
It's varied recently. I always painted with a brush, and some of the effects that I'm getting with the palette knife are very exciting, and they're expressing something of what I want to express. But I still very much working in both areas really until I find out what I really want, because it's very much an exploratory thing. I don't think I've done that many paintings that I would consider finished.
What other mediums do you work in?
Well, in drawing I use a wide variety. I use pastel, oil crayons, charcoal, pencil, watercolour, and acrylic inks are probably my favourite medium now. With the inks I use pens, I use the stopper out of the bottle, I use my fingers, anything I can lay my hands on to make a mark.
Yeah.
Because I'm attempting to make a wide variety of marks, you see.
I've taken Andy to Coney Island, just offshore from Ross's Point. It's peaceful, inspirational, and a perfect place to paint. Well, this is it, Andy, Coney Island. Do you know that Coney Island in New York is named after this island here?
Really?
Do you not notice the resemblance?
No. Not at all. But anyhow.
Anyhow, when it comes to painting, look at the scene in front of us. You don't get much better than that.
I must admit, that looks like something that we would leave on changing rooms. That does it for me. Yeah. You've got your work cut out here, that's all I'm thinking.
Listen, we're going to start with that wall just at the corner of the shed, and we'll bring that down from the roof down to where it meets that other wall there at the gate. So if you start coming down there, I must say, Andy, the sketch worked out really, really well. Looks good, doesn't it?
Well, I can't believe that I've actually achieved that, to be honest with you.
Now, the sky, it's not very important, so we just put it in very weakly, and let it fade into the background. And the same with those houses, because we're not really going to concentrate too much on those.
What I didn't understand was, why did we colour in all the bushes and all that with the sky, but when we come to the lines of all the houses and that, we kind of stopped. Why is that?
Well, the thing is, if you look at the house in front of us, it's white. And if we lose that white, we can never get back again. Because if we put the blue down there, it's a transparent medium, so you're always going to see the colour underneath.
Right.
So the trees are going to be darker than the sky, so therefore it doesn't matter. But anything that's going to be lighter than the colour behind it, we need to leave it unpainted.
Right. Okay, so the white you need to just leave white.
Yeah,
okay,
exactly, because we're not using white in watercolour, you just use the white of the paper.
Okay, yeah, cool.
So let's move on and put these bushes in behind the house. Now, those are very dark, and what they're going to do is frame the house, but at the same time we don't want them completely dark. So we start with a light green, and I just want you to fill that area in, but when it comes to the edge there, just put a few dots around that. Show that there's a broken edge to those. So you can fill in that area, and down here as well.
Okay, right. And what brush is this?
That's a number 8. It's the second largest brush that you have. So therefore it's going to let you do a lot of the big areas, but when it comes to the smaller detail you need to use a smaller one. Just be careful now you don't bring that green down over the white. Now let me give you a darker green again, because that is quite dark.
Right.
So we'll just thicken that up with a bit more Windsor blue and some light red, and that gives it an earthy look. See, if you look into that, it's a browny green.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
you're not
yeah.
really looking at a bright, vivid green. So that should be a bit more earthy there. Look at how dark that is now.
Very good.
And that's just more blue and a little bit of light red to give you that effect. So keep that darkness along the edge of that light green.
Along the edge?
Yeah, but don't let it come down. You must keep that white line sharp.
Okay, right.
That'll do. I think that'll be enough, Andy. We've enough darkness behind the
It's
house
looking
now.
great, though, isn't it? It's really bringing it out, and it's
Yeah.
just the different colours there make it right stand out.
Well, you see, the thing is, if you're going to feed in a second colour like that dark green, the paper is actually helping because it is a rough surface.
Right.
And that bleeding effect just wouldn't happen the same if it was a smooth paper.
Right.
You can feel there's quite
So
a
a
rough
lot of it
texture.
is down to the paper as well.
Yeah. And just look at the red roof. If that had been a black roof or a blue roof, I probably would have walked on past it.
Why?
Because you just don't have the contrast that the red gives you with the green. The white, red and green.
So that's the difference between me and you. If that was black or blue, I would have still painted it. I wouldn't have known the difference, I'm afraid.
The red's always more eye-catching than if it was a dull colour.
Right,
So
okay.
we'll mix that now with crimson and light red. And this is the number 5 brush. Now what I'm going to show you here is you must be very, very careful that you don't, again, go over that white area because it'll look as if the roof is crossing over the
Okay,
white wash
right.
on the wall. So just paint that in the direction that the roof is running.
So down like that,
Yeah. Nice and carefully down the edge. That's it. Now come back up to the top again and pull another one down. That's it. Now be careful whenever you get to here that you don't paint that white
Same
as well.
again, yeah, okay.
Along
Now,
the edge.
is there enough paint on this?
Plenty, because the wee white flecks that you're leaving, it actually looks as if there's light bouncing off
Right, okay.
off the top of the roof.
Because
Yeah.
these are, like, obviously planking on the door.
Yeah.
We would do the same thing again.
Exactly the
come
same
down
thing.
again. Oh,
Yeah.
right, okay.
You see, Andy, my budget on this is 500 quid, so we'll have
500 quid. That sounds familiar.
Would that be tongue and groove door, or is it just...
No, tongue and groove out here. It'll probably be a couple of old bits of wood nailed together just to make
Yeah,
it look. It serves its purpose, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Similar to changing rooms, you know. Serves its purpose. Lasts for 5 minutes, but it's fine. That's fine. Oops, shouldn't say that. Is that right?
That's
That
great.
looks good.
It does. And I just want to fill out the bottom there because there's some kind of a... It's like a tin plate on the bottom or something, is it?
Right, yeah, it is, yeah.
Kicker. Just pull that across like that. Can you see now that by putting on that light yellowish red wash that it has made it as if the sun's shining on it?
It makes it look different, yeah.
Yeah.
I can see that at the moment, yeah.
You see, if you were just to leave it pure white, it's too stark. You know, although it is a white wall, with the sun shining on it, it's warm. And the way to warm it is use yellow.
All right, okay.
Were you a builder, you know, before you got onto changing rooms and that type of thing?
Yeah.
Is that like any wall you ever built?
That's actually a lot better, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, it's weird because we try to do things in change rooms, but the problem is we haven't got the time.
Yeah.
And it usually runs into difficulties, and hence we end up arguing, and that's why you get stressed out.
Yeah.
But to achieve something like that, you'd need to spend hours, wouldn't you? Age, innit?
Yeah,
If you age,
that's it,
innit? Straight
that's it.
away.
Now, if you look at that little bush there in front of us, it's a lot darker than the bush behind.
This one, right, yeah.
And again, a lot darker than the light green grass. So I'm mixing up Windsor yellow with Windsor blue and light red to give me a darker colour than that. And if you look, there's it there.
Wow, right, okay.
It's quite a lot darker, but there's a lot of other dark shadows within that. Now watch the brush stroke there, look. Coming in towards the centre from the left, in towards the centre from the top, in towards the centre
Why
from
is
the
that?
right.
Why'd you do it like
Because the little bush is actually growing like that.
Oh, okay.
So you have to try and replicate what's happening in the bush itself.
So I got to keep
Yeah.
doing that all the time.
But as you get down here, you can lean heavier on the brush, and that'll give you a broader line.
Okay.
Push the brush against the paper, do you see? The
that?
brush thickens out, yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
Yep. And now I'll give you a bit more wash on that with a wee bit more yellow in it. Change the green. And
And
you
then this
see,
is going to lighten it
yeah.
up again.
But it'll just give you a different contrast.
Okay, right, yeah. See that?
You see that? And then with this other brush, I'm just going to mix this other colour. And again, it's Windsor yellow, Windsor blue, a lot more Windsor blue this time, and light red. And this will give us a very dark, shadowy green that you have in there. Like.
Oh, right.
Little bits of that.
It's
But
easy, really, isn't it?
yeah, there's nothing to it. There you are, put a few
Says
of those
the
in.
man who's been doing it for 20 odd years. It's just similar as painting in a room, really, isn't it?
Well, here, there must be a lot of camaraderie on changing rooms as well, or things happening between a group of people that are all working together.
There's more than one or two. I mean, 99% of them, you see, the producer said it's the only show that if anything goes wrong, they go with it and they show people.
Yeah.
Because 90% of shows, if something goes wrong, they stop, they redo it again, say it looks perfect.
Yeah.
With changing rooms, that isn't quite the case.
Yeah.
You've got 2 days, you've got very, very short time, and they want these massive things built. They've all got to be painted. A lot of stuff, you have to wait for it to dry.
Yeah.
Although they use hairdryers to speed it up and all that. But it's a concoction of projects too ambitious, not enough time, everyone getting a bit hot under the collar. Well, it's good fun and it's real, and they love it as well.
That's that one finished. Now, you see, if you wanted to put a few wee light flecks on that, this is a very useful technique using a penknife. And if you just use the blade of the penknife and push it against that, look, by drawing upward, you can get a few nice little light areas on that, look.
Ooh.
Try that there, do you see? Just by scratching back.
So just...
The flat of the blade, and yeah.
Right, hold on. Like that, yeah?
Yeah. That's it. It must be done while the wash underneath is wet. If the wash underneath has dried, forget about that.
Show off.
Let's move up and do this light bush now. And you can see that's a bluer green. It's, you know,
A bluer green?
A bluer green. This is more an earthy green.
Okay,
that green
right,
behind,
yeah.
although it's lighter, it's just a little bit bluer. So we'll put a wee bit of cerulean blue.
I'd say, I don't know how you can see that, a bluer green. You sound very much like the designers on change rooms when they go, it'll dry darker or it'll dry lighter. They put it in the tin, you see something in the tin, they go, nah, it looks totally different when it's on the wall. And to me, it doesn't look any different at all, but that's what they tell us. So if you said it's a bluey green, then I'm going to go with your bluey green. You know what you're talking about.
I'll put this little bit of blue green out, and you'll see the difference in those two greens. Like, see the way that's...
Yeah, I must admit, but I still can't see the blue in there. Anyhow.
Now you've got it. And then cut around this here into the wee spaces, because if you rub the green, the chances are you'll rub it off again, the darker green.
Okay. Is that good?
Yeah, that's fine. Just keep doing that, and you can see that one now will sit behind the other.
Yeah. That's pretty cool, isn't it?
Well, it looks like that's dry now.
Cool.
We can go ahead and work on the stones here. So
right.
I'll do Mick Jagger, you can have Keith Richards. Alright?
Dear Lord. That is not good. That is not good.
To do the texture on the stones, look at that there. You can see there's grey and there's brown and there's some...
Kind of like moss stuff.
Yeah, moss stuff on it as well, and there's a bit of red in there. So let's start with a very dilute wash, and that's cerulean blue and light red. So I'll just do this one here.
That's got some red in it.
Yeah, a little bit of light red, just it kills the blue, you see.
Okay.
So let's put that in over the complete area. Now, next colour is raw sienna and water, and I'm going to let that go in here and there. You see that, look?
Yeah. So really, I mean, through the whole picture, what we've done is you've let the second colour run into it, basically, haven't you?
That's exactly it.
Right.
And that's why the painting is actually working so well, because we're bleeding one colour into another.
Okay.
If you let the bottom colour dry, a lot of the time you're not going to get the effect that you want.
Right.
Now I'm going in here to a third colour, and this is light red and a little bit of French ultramarine, and it's thicker than the last, but that'll give me a few little dark areas. Now that's a wee bit on the strong side.
Right.
To take that out, you just use a damp brush and soften it.
So this is now the third colour you've put into
Third colour I'm
this.
putting in there.
So how many colours can you do then?
As many as it takes. In this case I'm going to be putting on 4.
Right.
So there's another texture. You see the way it's building up?
Yeah.
Now, lastly, we're going to use French ultramarine and light red, only it's more blue this time than red. But it's going to be down around the lower area where you're going to have a lot of shadow in there.
Okay, right, yeah.
And then just soften that. Okay?
Yeah.
That has given me texture and roundness to that stone. So now you can do this one here.
I knew you were going to say that. Right, so it was the really light colour first of all,
the
weren't it?
grey one.
And
But
you just do the whole...
just leave a little border between that one and this one, a wee white line, so that it doesn't run from one to the other. That's it. Lean a wee bit heavier there and stretch it out a bit further.
Like that?
And some up here, there's a bit of a dent in there.
Yeah.
There's a shadow. Over onto the right hand side. You can come from the top down there if you wish. Now, can you see texture and depth?
Your one looks a lot better.
No, but this one here hasn't totally softened yet, look. You see that?
Okay, yeah, that looks there. That looks better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that does look better. Yeah.
Listen, Andy, I don't think there's really that much more to do to it. You put in a lot of the dark lines that are given definition, you know, here in the stones,
Right.
a little bit underneath the roof, and a few of the finer details. But there's one thing missing. You see the shadow that's cast by the sun there? There's a line comes down from the wall across the building.
Yeah.
I think if we put that in, that'll just give it the little bit of depth that it needs. So, the mixture is French ultramarine and light red. Now keep this line straight along the bottom there.
I have problems keeping my lines straight, don't I?
That's it.
Like that, yeah.
Right.
All this?
Leave that wee bit there, just the edge of that in sunlight.
Like that, yeah?
Yeah, that'll do. And get right down into that corner. That's where the wall turns the corner there. Right over that
That's
stone.
all the way down there?
Yeah, that's on the inside. Just keep taking a look up till you see where you are there.
Right, yeah.
In here as well.
Yeah.
I'll help you out with that. Now that will dry about 50% lighter.
It's starting to dry now, isn't it?
Yeah. And
Why will it dry 50% lighter?
just as the water evaporates out of it, the colour lightens.
Okay.
Now there's a bit underneath this here as well. And down there.
Yeah. You're not bad, actually, are you?
Now just let that dry. Thank you very much. What do you think of it yourself?
I've never thought of doing it before, and I've never done anything like it before, yeah? But it's certainly given me a bug. It's certainly made me realise that you can actually achieve something.
Yeah.
Because my painting or drawing experience is zero. So, probably still stick with the cordless drill and the jigsaw. I don't think I'll be taking that up as a living. I think you're safe there. I'll leave that to you. But it's been a great experience, really is. Great.
I'll
Loved it.
tell you. What you should do is throw a paint box into the toolbox. And do a wee bit every time you have a few minutes.
So, really, so when I want to change, when you're sitting down, it's better drill, so I say, no, hold it a minute, I'm just going to do a little paint in here. Do you think that's there for that?
Probably. Listen, all you have to do now is sign it. So if you just take that, you can sign it here in the bottom right hand corner.
Handy, Andy.
Whatever you want. Next time on A Wash with Colour, it's on to counties Leitrim and Roscommon, where I'll be painting in the Basque Lane with Top Gear's Vicky Butler Henderson. But for now, it's goodbye from Ross's Point and County Sligo. For further information or fact sheets on A Wash with Colour, turn to CFAX page 628.